Hello and welcome to InfinEye Games. We have respawned into city Skylines and we are back building, or rather improving, Paradise Hills. So this episode is all going to be about making the city more beautiful and making it more. We interrupt your regularly scheduled program to bring you this important update from the Wildlife Conservation Society. A dangerous animal has been spotted roaming near the main roads. We repeat, a dangerous animal has been spotted roaming near the main roads. The animal is possibly brown in color. That's all the details we have for you now. We will get back to you when we receive more from the Wildlife Conservation Society. Thank you. So that's the dangerous animal. We have a brown bear that's just walking around in the fields. I know that this game has wildlife, and when you make maps, you have to pick spawn points for wildlife. But let's see where this bear is going. I mean, looks like he's walking towards the roads. I'm a little bit worried. Come on, don't go onto the roads. Stop. Okay, it's turning around. What is he doing? Oh, he stood up. That's so cute. That's like that bear in the meme, you know, the bear that waves. Well, he's walking back. I think he doesn't like the attention that we are giving him. Well, but this episode is off the rails already. So let's get back into building our city, shall we? Well, our city might already be a little too tempting for at least animals. Well, bears aside, we do want more people to move in. So today's episode is all going to be basically improving our little town. And how we are going to do that is by not letting everything be handled by, the game itself. So I had already zoned a lot of places in the town in the last episode, but that brings in, obviously it fills in the area with people based on how you've zoned it. So wherever you have residential zoning, people will start building their houses, then shops will come up in commercial, while industries would start popping up in the yellow zones. But obviously that's a great starting point, but we want to do a little bit more. I want to do a little bit more. I want to add certain elements to the city which the game doesn't do by itself. So I'm just gonna go around the the little community that we have built so far, and I'm gonna start plopping down some props and some buildings that I feel like makes more sense to be in those areas. Like we have pipes that bring water and take away sewage, but in a real city you would have water tanks. You'll have you'll have farmhouses and stuff like that, which would be scattered around the town, and it won't just be this one pipe that is million miles away and it just brings all the water in. So I just want to bring that little bit of realism. I feel like I'm going back and forth with my plans of the city because to begin with I said I'm not going for hyperrealism, but I'm going to do this in today's episode. But yeah, it's not to make it feel more real, it's to make it feel organic, which is something that I said the last time around. And it's not just props. So there are a few buildings that look good in certain areas, and I don't know when the growable buildings actually come in on their own. I don't know which building will come in where, and maybe I want to change a few things. Maybe I want to add certain elements of a city into certain places. So I managed to bring in the prop it up, which I think I already had, but I managed to bring in plop the growables mod into the game, which will allow me to plop down growable buildings. So you can go for I think it's ploppable Rico, I believe. So you can get that mod as well that does the same thing, but it is a little more advanced, and it will flatten the area so that the house sits in the lower or the higher area depending upon the elevation of the road at that point. Now I want to not have to do that, so I'm gonna use building anarchy to place it and then move it up and down, because if you move it up, some buildings do have struts. So if there are buildings that are supposed to be close to water, they'll actually have wooden struts or metal struts which will hold them up above the land. I don't know if I have those buildings because I don't have any assets from the workshop downloaded, so I'm only going to be using the vanilla ones. But yeah, there are certain things that I want to add. So there are elements like gas stations, which you don't have in the vanilla game. So I have a total gas station prop. So I think this is the only external non-vanilla prop that I have. I think I have one more. It's a statue which I haven't actually used. But yeah, so I'm gonna be plopping down some of those things which makes it feel more organic, like stuff that you see in a normal city, but maybe this game doesn't cater to that or doesn't consider it as a necessary prop. I'm also going to go into the farming sectors as I've built them, and I'm going to add a few more silos, few more buildings that make it look like this area is built with the farming specialization in mind. So I'm going to add a few more silos, few more processing plants. And also, the one more thing about City Skylines is that every building that needs road access need you to place down the roads first, and then you have to place down the buildings. So building anarchy also allows me to do it the other way around. So if you need direct road access, you would need to place a road anyway, or at least it needs to be close enough to a road that a vehicle can get to it. But in the vanilla game, it's literally impossible for you to do that. So building anarchy also allows me to place certain things in certain areas which I would not be able to do otherwise. So yeah, I'm just gonna go into the farming district and add some of those buildings to make it look more organic. But I think the majority of this episode is going to be a park, which is in the title. So yeah, so I'm gonna build a nature reserve close to the riverbank. I had left some area keeping that in mind. I don't know, like at least at the time I did not know if that would be enough or not. It's gonna be a relatively small park. It's not going to be too big. It's a nature reserve. You would have some campsites, some I think it's mostly camping, to be honest. You have some viewing galleries, I suppose. So you have some viewing galleries which allow you to just go stand and look around. That's why I picked this area, because you have a nice picturesque river, you have a lot of trees, and it feels natural. It feels like you can stand there and look out at the beauty of the nature. So yeah, I'm just gonna go and start planning the park and building it in the area that I had left. So yeah, let's jump into it. There's not a lot to explain here. So with the park DLC, it's actually one of the more feature-packed DLCs. Obviously, Industries and Campus added a lot of assets, and Industries specifically added a lot of details and a lot of complex logic into the game. So an industrial area is not just an industrial area. You actually have to plan out the whole supply chain of the industries, which is really cool, and that's something that I believe is so underappreciated in the modern times, when DLCs just tend to add very few things. And well, Colossal Order has done that themselves. Like there are so many DLCs that really do not add anything. Snowfall being a prime example of that, which is why I don't have that. But Parks was, I think, the first DLC that genuinely brought in a really new and fresh feature into the game, which was you could make parks and you can place things inside the park wherever you want. They don't have to be connected to the road to begin with. So you can place them down wherever you want and then have connecting roads that lead to them, which is awesome because then you can come up with a layout for the park and you don't have to worry about placing the roads beforehand. So I thought that that was such a great addition to the game. I think so. Yeah, I'm just gonna go in and add a nature reserve in here. And like I said, I did not leave too much space because I didn't really plan it out. I just had that thought in my mind. I just want to make sure that I leave at least some area that is really close to the riverbank, and it'll feel natural. Like it would feel like that area was converted into a nature reserve rather than that area being planned and like pre-planned to be left alone to become a nature reserve. So it's just that someone came in and said, you know what, we have a nice little area where it's too dangerous to maybe build houses because landslides and everything can ruin the houses if the water increases in the river. So let's turn it into a nature reserve, and that way it's not as dangerous, and we can also utilize the place and maybe get some money out of it as well. So that's what I'm gonna do. That's the plan for today's episode, to go in, build it, and also once that is done, we'll see how it's doing. We'll see how many people are coming in. We'll see if it's doing as well as I hope it would. I really have high hopes for this, even though it's not gonna be a massive park, so I don't think we can get it to even maybe more than 3 stars because of the restriction of the actual area, because you can't put in enough things for it to be eligible to level up. But yeah, let's see how many people come in. So other than that, I'm also going to be putting in some trees, a little bit of landscaping. I need to zone a little more places because the demand for residential is really high. We have so many people moving in. We are closing in on 3,000 people already, which is actually a lot more than I hoped for, because in my initial impressions of this area was that it's pretty small and we might not get more than, I don't know, 2,500 people. But even with just the low density housing, we are still almost there. We're almost at 3,000 and demand is high. And while building the park, I am having to go in and zone a few more areas to let more people move in. I hope you like this episode, because I got some feedback on the previous one. You guys didn't like it. You didn't like the terraforming and planning sort of episodes, which is understandable. I mean, the thought process is something that is intriguing, but then it's really difficult to bring that out in a video. Like it doesn't seem to be that interesting to talk about my thought process, because I genuinely sometimes just stare at the piece of land for 30 minutes to an hour just to think what I'm going to be doing next to it. But obviously that's not something that you'd like to see in a YouTube video. So I hope this one is a little more interesting, because I'm actually adding in elements to the city, or to the town. I keep calling it a city. It was supposed to be a town, but I guess we're growing. I mean, I don't know at what point inside City Skylines does a town turn into a city, because I haven't played this game with the milestones on for a long time. But yeah, I hope you like this episode a lot more than the previous one, and I hope this is interesting. I hope that it is more in line with what you guys enjoy and more in line with what you'd like to see more. But yeah, do leave a feedback and let me know if this is good, or should I be trying some other format? Should I be doing something else? But yeah, I think that's about it. Like there's not much to talk about. I don't have a plan. I'm just placing in items. I'm placing in whatever assets I have inside the nature reserve menu. Adding in some fishing galleries. I'm adding in some viewing galleries. I'm also adding some campsites, as well as I think rock climbing is also part of it. I think it's called boulder site or something like that. But yeah, I guess I'll leave it there, and I'll let you enjoy the time lapse for a bit, and I'll come back for the outro. And I am back. So now we are done with the park, and I have moved on to the facilities. So another thing that I completely forgot while I was busy building the park was that I had left the simulation running. So town was growing. And obviously initially I had placed, a school, a small clinic, as well as a small police station, as well as a small fire station. But now that we have grown, and especially with how spread out this is, horizontally, it's quite long. So it was really important for me to come back and place some of the facilities. And so I placed one of each, two in some cases. And I also added a little more waste management, because we only had one. I added two more. Unfortunately, that's really close to the to the nature reserve, which I'm not a fan of. I might move them later on, but the problem is that this is such a picturesque area that any place would feel weird. Like, I can't really place it near the fields. Doesn't make sense to have it so close to the farming facilities. The fertile land would get basically eviscerated by the runoffs and everything. I can't place it too close to the river, because all of that is taken up by the nature reserve. And I also cannot move it to the very end of our community, because that's, in my head at least, it's like a private area. So that doesn't make sense as well. So I felt like the closest to neutral place is where I ended up placing it. Hopefully no one complains. But yeah, I might come back later and see if there's a better way of doing it. But yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. Thank you so much for joining me for the video today. Hope you enjoyed this episode. If you have any feedback, feel free to leave them down in the comments below. Do subscribe if you liked it, and like the video if you did. Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks again. I really do appreciate every single view, every single comment. It means a lot to me. So yeah, that's it for today. I'll see you in the next episode. Before the game starts glitching out like it has been for the past 2 videos, I will take your leave. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.